Hi again, everyone. I'm Ollie Matthews. This is the Narcissistic Resistance, and this resistance video is sponsored by contribution from Kristen, and here is her story. Hi, Ollie. I'm Kristen. I've been a subscriber for a while. It wasn't until very recently that I saw your personal story, and I could relate to it so much. My father was highly narcissistic, very judgmental, and silenced me if I had a different view on things than he did. He also, on many occasions, made it known that he only wanted boys. Poor him got 3 girls. Although he was a terrible person, he isn't the narcissist that has hurt me the most. That person is my mother-in-law. I'll just call her L. I think it's L. It's either L or I. My story started when I asked Elle to move in with my then boyfriend, now husband. Elle was miserable at home because my mom, or I was, all right, this is going to be very confusing. Are you calling her I? Okay, I see. It's the same letter. So you're calling her the I or the L. I'm going to call her L, but it's going to be kind of hard to read this because you're using the same. Okay. My story started when I asked to move in with my then boyfriend, now husband. I was miserable at home because my mom had a new boyfriend who was a narcissist. He made life unbearable for me and my sisters. He would steal money from our bedroom, money that we knew we placed on our desk nightstand, and there would be no convincing my mom that he did it. Okay, so I'm not even through this sentence yet. The problem's not your mother-in-law. It's your mother. The reason why you had to get out was because your mother wouldn't stand up for you, okay, because she was more concerned about dick and attention. Don't tell me she didn't know what this dude was about. She absolutely knew. She didn't care. What led you to this? What led you to this situation is your mother. He would be jealous if she spent any time with us and any free time she needed to be devoted to him. I felt I had no one except my boyfriend at the time. I begged him to ask his parents if I could move in with them because I wanted out of that home so badly. So he and his family took me in. I know that I was very susceptible to being abused. I had no self-esteem. In fact, I downright didn't like myself and always learned to ignore my feelings because no one was ever there for me or told me that my opinion was important. Right, and that all starts in your house. That all starts with your mother. Your mother let you leave, let you go move in with your boyfriend's family so she could get dick and attention. Your problem, Kristen, is your mother. When I moved into my husband's family home, all I knew was that his family was, on the outside, a perfect family. My husband had a mom and dad that were still married. Family seemed to be important to them because everyone still lived in the home, even though my husband was 27 and his sibling 25. To me, their home seemed massive compared to the tiny apartment where I shared a single bed with my 2 sisters. I immediately looked up to them and thought that they were amazing people, not because of the money or the giant home, but because I thought that through love and hard work, these people did what they could to provide for their children and wanted to keep them close, something I never had. Little did I know just how bad the next few years would be for me and my husband. The moment I moved in, we were rushed to get married. I knew I wanted to marry Adrian. I was just taken aback by how sudden his mom wanted to get me in the family so she can use me. She crossed every boundary I put up and never apologized for the pain it caused us and the tension it put on our marriage. The first boundary she ever crossed was when we were on a family trip on our way to our destination. She all of a sudden got it into her head that we needed to announce the news that we would marry soon to my husband's brother and brother's girlfriend. We hadn't even gotten a ring yet. I said we weren't ready to share the news, and this angered her. I could see the disappointment in her eyes and a very mean glare. I explained that we just needed to get a ring, then we'd choose when to announce. She stated that it was nice that we wanted a ring, but all that tea, her golden child, needed to know we were getting married. She stated that if we didn't tell them, that she would once we reached our destination. That angered me and made me panic. I wanted to be the one to announce I was going to get married with Adrian, my husband. But all I could do was cry as we were riding in their car, and I was faced with the fact that I couldn't share something so happy in the way I wanted to. When we got to our destination, she told them, and they didn't even care. My husband's brother always didn't like my husband, and he would fake like he liked us at family parties, but never once hung out with us willingly. We'd invite and always be turned down. I have a feeling here, because your husband sounds like a son husband to your mother-in-law. I have a feeling your husband was the golden child and the brother has resentment for it. I think your mother-in-law was using you to rub it. She could have cared less about you. You were a means of the golden child, son husband, getting married, and she wanted to shove that in what I'm assuming is the Black Sheep brother's face. That's what it sounds like to me. This control my mother-in-law had over us played out in our wedding. Because if your husband's not the son husband, okay, why doesn't he stand up to his mother and tell her to mind your own business? We're going to do this my way. Okay? Why is your mother-in-law you're not even your mother-in-law yet, going through you about this announcement and not her husband and not her son? Because her son's a son husband? Because I think maybe Adrian might already have been married to his mom? Quite possibly. At this time, anyway. Your mother put you in this situation. Just the reason you had no self-esteem is because of your mother. This control my mother-in-law had over us played out in our wedding. It always does. She chose a venue that I later found out she always wanted for herself. Right, because she's like imagining her golden child or son. She's imagining herself marrying Adrian. She's shoving this in her other son's face, who I can almost guarantee you is the Black Sheep. That's the hostility coming from the brother. She ordered decorations and called all the shots because she was paying for most of the big expenses, which I never wanted her to pay. She said she had to because the family would be offended if she didn't invite them. This is all about her. Has nothing to do with you. Once in an attempt to save money, I asked if she could cancel the limo she had ordered to pick us up after our ceremony. She exploded on me in that moment, and I saw a side that I had never seen before. She told me that I was demanding and that I was getting everything I wanted. I didn't ask for a reception. I didn't ask for a fancy dress or a limo. I only wanted to get married. I didn't need a ceremony at all. She told me right then and there that since I was being a spoiled princess, that she would take away our reception. Well, it's the same shit, you know. My parents tried with me. Understand something. This wasn't your wedding. It was her wedding to her son husband. You're just the pawn. You're just the pawn in the son husband's wedding. Because your husband has not stopped any of this from happening. Any of this. Because he's already married to his mom. This was all 1 week before the wedding. I sat and cried and there was nothing else I could do. I saw nothing on her face, just coldness. She told me to stop crying. I didn't know what else to do. I said I was sorry and hugged her. She never apologized. She just hugged me back, but said nothing. It took a long time for her to explode like this again, but eventually the ugly side came out when my husband and I were ready to move out. She told him that everything he had was because of her, because you were taking away her son husband. This wedding wasn't for you, it was for her. That announcement it was for her golden child, your husband. He's got to be the golden. There's no way he's not the golden child. The reason why your brother-in-law has a problem with Adrian is because he was the black sheep and Adrian was the golden child. I promise you his brother knows how sick his mother is. Promise you that. She told him everything he had was because of her. She said, "Let's see how you do on your own." Despite all this, my husband still maintained a relationship with them after we moved out. Of course he did. Because he won't put on his big boy pants. He was already married to his mommy. But their behavior got worse and more boundaries crossed. It got to the point where she would show up at 10 p.m. at our door, then say she was there to see our kids. Ridiculous. We've recently gotten no contact with her and the whole family. It isn't easy since traditionally Filipinos are very tight-knit and family-oriented, and my husband has struggled at first knowing his family is all toxic. Oh boy, they are. And if she's Filipino and she's like this, she's really fucking evil and crazy. She's crazy. There's nothing she won't do. There's just nothing she won't stop at. It's going to get worse. Do you have any advice for him on how to be secure in his decision? Your overall insight on her behavior would be great. Would be great to hear. Thank you for what you do, and I will give a contribution as soon as I send this. This is what I'm going to tell Adrian. And don't take the son-husband thing the wrong way, but the way you were raised as your mom's golden child. And she views you almost as, as a son husband, as a second husband that will do anything for her, that will put her before all else. Your brother was already the black sheep. And he further made himself the black sheep when he went off and got married and was living off on his own. That's why he wanted to go and shove in his face that you were getting married now. But that wedding wasn't about your wife. It wasn't about Kristen. It was about your mother and you. And you see that later on, and you'd have nothing, like the cruelty of your mother. You'd have nothing, you'll be nothing, just gaslighting you into not leaving her. And I know, and listen, I'm going to tell you right out, I have a lot of Filipino subscribers. I have a lot of Filipino subscribers who deal with the same type of mother as yours. The same type. They know exactly where I'm coming from. They know exactly the evil your mother is, and they'll all tell you, she won't fucking stop. You got to cut it off and leave it. You got to realize your mother's got some kind of sick thing going on in her head, okay? Because you are a typical son-husband, narcissistic, borderline mother situation here. You got a black sheep brother, Okay, why weren't you standing up to your mother as she's abusing your soon-to-be wife? Why? Why? I'm glad you finally went no contact and you see the toxicity in all of it, but it's got to stay that way. Now, as far as Kristen is concerned, you need to get into your mother, because your mother is why, okay, I'm not even going to say you're susceptible to this, because it seems like you're pretty happy with Adrian. So I'm not gonna make any like, oh, you got sucked into a son husband, though, and that's what Adrian is a son husband because of your mother. Now, luckily, you found a pretty decent one who cares about you and was willing to finally break off, see the toxicity, and break it off. But understand, your mother giving you up, putting dick and attention ahead of you. Okay? And again, with your mother-in-law, okay, it's like another type of competition. You're competing for your husband with your mother-in-law. And again, you don't even realize your husband's already pseudo-married to his mother. Son husband. Good thing is, being a son husband doesn't have to be permanent. It doesn't have to be permanent. You can end that with no contact. Standing up for yourself, putting on your big boy pants, and standing up not only for yourself, for your wife. Because that's going to let your mother know more than all, like, I'm done with this shit. There's something wrong with you. This is who I choose to be with. So, I hope that helps. Thank you, Kristen, for your contribution and your story. I really appreciate it. Thank you to everybody watching. Please leave any opinions or advice in the comments section below. And again, if you want your story read on the channel, you have a topic you'd like me to cover, a narcissist you'd like to expose, you'd like to set up Skype, a phone call, have a private video made, or a Facebook live chat, or you'd like to sponsor a video like this for someone who needs help and can't afford it, or just make a contribution to the channel in general to keep it supported, growing, and successful, because this channel survives 100% on contributions from all of you. Without you guys, all of this goes away. So if you like what you see here and you want to see more videos like this, you know what to do with the PayPal and email links in the description box. Also, please like and share this video wherever you can. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and be sure to click the subscription bell to be notified of all my video uploads. I'm Ollie Matthews. This has been the Narcissistic Resistance.